Now, when it came to the keynote for this year's iPad lineup, Tim Cook was as usual.
So excited, so excited, so excited.
And as usual, when it came to the Apple employees,
We're excited, we're excited, we're excited, we're excited.
And their excitement reached a fever pitch when they introduced the brand new M4 iPad Pro.
We couldn't be more excited, more excited, more excited.
The M4 is Apple's fastest, bestest, and most advanced chip ever made. So why the heck have they put this in an iPad of all things instead of a laptop or desktop? Well, the answer to that might lie in the fact that many people are holding on to their old iPads for dear life these days. Not just because times are tough, but because for a really long time now, it's been hard to see what the advantages are in upgrading yet again, especially when it comes to the Pro models. That's because iPadOS remains just that, iPadOS, and not the full transition to macOS, which many Pro users have been clamoring for years, or have they? So when it comes to the flagship iPad, what carrots did Apple dangle in front of us this time to get us to part with our hard-earned cash? Well, put simply, the following. The most powerful chip in any Apple device. A brand new super-duper tandem OLED display. An old camera, but in a far more friendly and new landscape position at last. And thinness. Yes, this thing is thin, damn thin, so damn thin you wouldn't believe it. The thinnest Apple device ever made. But they also took a few things away. There's no longer any ultra-wide camera, but reports suggest that not many people are going to miss it. The Apple Pencil 2 won't work with it, and by the way, neither will the last generation of Magic Keyboard. You see where this is going, right? You have to buy even more new stuff to go with this already eye-wateringly expensive iPad. The base model 11-inch costs £1,000 here in the UK, while the 13-inch model will set you back nearly £1,300. And just remember, that's straight out of the box with absolutely no accessories. So if you do want to use an Apple Pencil or just type in comfort, get ready to remortgage your house. And on top of all that, it will cost you another £100 to get the anti-glare nano coating. But that's only available on the 1TB models and up, starting at £1,700 here in the UK. And that's just for the 11-inch. The 13-inch 1TB costs £2,000. Now, don't get me wrong, I am convinced that the new iPad Pros probably are the best tablets in the world, and for the price they'd better be. But when it comes down to it, do all of these new bells and whistles really add up to an irresistible combination for Pro users? Well, it might be, if not for one glaringly obvious thing. This is still just an iPad running iPadOS. It is not running on macOS. Therefore, it is not a laptop or desktop replacement for people doing full-time pro-level work. And when it came to WWDC, nothing changed. Lots of upgrades to iPadOS, but absolutely no sign of the dream of OS unification, which is what a lot of people thought the term Unleash meant in relation to the M4 iPad Pro. But let me ask you one simple question. When was the last time your iPad crashed? Well, in my case, never, absolutely never, not once in 10 years of using iPads. And that's because they run on iPadOS, and for everyday tasks, they are absolutely rock solid. When it comes to macOS and you're doing really heavy lifting and lots of exporting or photo editing, it's not quite the same thing. Now, I'll fully admit I am not the target audience for replacing my laptop or desktop with an iPad Pro. I'm not a full-time artist, photographer or musician who needs desperately to work on the go, and the idea of editing video on such a small machine is an ergonomic nightmare for me. And even if I did want to plug this thing into a monitor, the iPad is so hampered in so many ways for the way I work with files and everything else in Final Cut Pro that it would drive me crazy. After all, here in the UK you can pick up an M3 MacBook Air for £1,300 and it already has a keypad and some ports. The same can be said of mid-range MacBook Pros, which, by the way, have fans inside them to help them with heavy workloads like video editing and photo editing. I just think that the iPad Pro and what we want from it is in a really weird place at the moment. Do we want a Mac or do we want an iPad or both? The only difference apart from iPadOS seems to be a touchscreen and thinness. So why don't Apple finally go the whole hog and just make a 13-inch laptop with a detachable screen and call it something really clunky like the MacPad Touch? Now surely if ever the software is going to merge between iPads and Macs one day, then the differentiation between iPads and Macs seems to make even less sense. And at the moment, due to its thinness and its operating system, the iPad Pro simply can't unleash all of the power of a chip like the M4 anyway. And what is the point of the iPad Pro at all in its current form factor and thinness if you can't get the full power out of the chip it contains? Don't forget the same is still true of any M2 iPad Pro, and they cost a lot less money, and pretty much the only difference you'll notice as a Pro user is the quality of the screen. But that's just me. At the end of the day, we're all different. If you are a creative who has now moved all of their work to an iPad Pro, I would love to hear from you. What are the advantages and why have you done it? At the end of the day, I think things aren't going to change in the near future. I think the iPad will remain just that, an iPad separate from a laptop or desktop, and I for one am fine with that. I've never owned an iPad Pro because I've never had the need for one. I use an iPad the way 95% of people use an iPad, for watching movies on the go or kicking back on the couch or in bed, practicing my guitar skills, which are pretty feeble, and surfing the web to buy yet more stuff from Amazon. And that's why my new iPad is going to be the 10th generation base model. It might not be the top of the range, but it's all I need. And now at a reduced price of £349, it is an absolute bargain. So sadly, it means that putting something as powerful as an M4 chip into an iPad right now is even more of a marketing gimmick, but let me know what you think. Should Apple just finally start making powerful touchscreen laptops a few centuries after other manufacturers? Is Apple going down a blind alley with the iPad Pro, putting more and more powerful chips in it without ever being able to fulfill their potential? Or would you miss the passing of the iPad Pro as a product line and you'd really like to use this as a replacement for your computer? I'd really like to know your thoughts, and in the meantime, if you've enjoyed this video, then why not like, subscribe and share, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot, bye bye.